If you're looking for a concise guide that will teach you everything you need to know in order to build a kick-ass website using Contentful CMS, you are in the right place. Now, my latest book is called Contentful, The Missing Manual, and the book took me over 200 hours to research and write, and I personally think it's a banger. Now, the book is available for you to purchase from Leanpub on a pay-what-you-feel basis, so the minimum price is $14.99. However, if you think the book gives you value and you want to support this channel, you can pay as much as you like. Now, it still surprises me that people do this all the time, and so far the highest purchase has been over $50, which still amazes me. Now, the book was finished in March 2023, and it covers all aspects of what a developer will need to consider during a Contentful project. Now, this is the fourth book that I've written, and it comes in at over 260 pages long. It took me over 6 months to write, and I invested about 200 hours into this project. Now, in this book, you will learn everything that you need to launch a successful web project using Contentful CMS. So topics range from learning how to install the CMS, what code you need to write, how to use the core APIs, how to successfully perform content modeling, and much more. In essence, the aim of this book is to help you build a site using Contentful quicker and with fewer headaches. Okay, so you might be wondering what's in the book. Let's take a look. Chapter 1 is the introduction. Now, within the introduction, one of the most important topics that I bring up is the difference between a headless CMS build and a traditional CMS build. And there are differences, and these nuances really will affect how you plan your project. Now, aside from this, I talk about prerequisites, some of my motivations for writing the book. And for reference, it's probably worth pointing out that you can download chapter 1 as a sample from Leanpub, so you can get a good idea about my writing style before you commit to buying anything. Chapter 2. In this chapter, we're going to look at how you actually build a headless website and all the technologies around it. Now, the important thing in this chapter is understanding the difference between SPAs, SSR, and static site generation. Now, the reason why I say this is that the approach you take will highly influence how you actually need to configure Contentful. And do this wrong, content editors are going to moan. And I think if you actually look online, most of the negative feedback that you see around Contentful is because people don't understand this nuance. So it's really important. Within chapter 2, I will give you a tour of Contentful. So you'll learn how to set up an account, you'll learn a little bit about pricing, you'll learn about the differences between organizations and spaces, you'll learn how you can access content using things like the preview token, the access token, and you'll also learn about some of the nuances around content governance and roles and permissions. In chapter 4, we start taking a deep dive into content modeling. So how you can take your website designs, your mobile app designs, and convert them into models within Contentful that content editors can make use to create content from. So in here, we're going to look at the 8 different field types that come with Contentful. So we're looking at numbers, text, all that kind of good stuff, as well as the more complicated things, like the rich text field, the reference field, and the JSON field. Now, through these 8 simple types, it's possible for you to model anything that you really want to. So we'll go into complete detail about how that process looks like. In the next chapter, we will look at content modeling tips. Now, the focus of this chapter is to think about the areas and the hidden gotchas that can catch you out in a project. So one example of this is the self-referencing item. If you accidentally design your models so they can be self-referenced, you can get into infinite loop and your website will blow up. Now, aside from this, we're going to look at things like topic and assemblies. We're going to think about content catalogs to make your life easier. We're going to look at how you design a menu and how that differs compared to a traditional CMS menu design, and loads of other bits and bobs like that. Chapter 6, the Contentful API 101. So when it comes to Contentful, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually query for content and render it on your website. So we've got things like the Content Delivery API, GraphQL, the Content Management API, some of the caveats around linked assets, the image API, how you can perform searching, how you can do tags, how you can query and create content types, all of that good stuff. In chapter 7, configuring your headless website. In this chapter, we're actually going to look at the code. So how we can actually configure Contentful with Next.js. So in here, we're going to be doing things like integrating GraphQL. We're going to be thinking about how we set up dynamic routes, how we render text and rich text images within our website. I then close the book off looking at all of Contentful advanced features that have not been covered so far in the book. So this is by far the biggest chapter. And in this chapter, you will learn how to build a custom field using the app framework. We will deep dive into the Contentful CLI, and the main reason why you'll likely use this tool is for content migration. So how do we import and export content out of the CMS? Next, we will look at content administration using the Content Management API. So how can you control the CMS remotely via code? After this, we will look at the User Management API, how to manage organizations, teams, and users in code. We will also deep dive into multi-language architectures. How can you build a website that supports multiple languages? I then close the book off looking at some really handy marketplace apps that have been built by Contentful. Now, the purpose of these apps will allow you to improve your content editor's editing capabilities. So the apps in question are the Tasks, Workflow, Compose, and Launch app. And these apps combined will give you the power to manage campaigns, create tasks, workflows, content governance. Basically, these apps will give superpower access to your content editors, and they'll greatly improve the CMS experience. So these are must install apps in my opinion, and you'll learn everything you need to install them and help your content editors get going with them. So, as I'm hoping it's come across from this video, I'm genuinely pumped about this book because I really do think that anyone who reads it will get some value from it. Now, I'm saying you don't just need to take my word for it. Let's see what an automated review by ChatGPT says about the book as well. Oh yeah, thanks ChatGPT. I agree. So that concludes the book review. So by now, I hope I've given you enough information that you can make an informed decision. Now, because these book review videos are a bit shorter, I always tend to tag on a channel update or a life update at the end of them, just in case you're wondering what's going on behind the scenes. Now, in the last book review video I did, which was about September time, I was thinking about quitting the channel. Now, as you can tell, because I've been pumping out videos for the last couple of months, I've decided to carry on making videos at least until the end of the year. Now, one of my biggest sources of frustration in September was the channel wasn't really growing as much as I wanted it to. So I was spending all this time creating videos, and in many instances, they're only being watched 100, 200 times. So one of the great things that happened since September is that I put a lot more effort into my editing style. Because we've got the new camera with the lighting, what's happened since around that time is the number of people who are watching my videos has grown quite a lot. So regularly I was doing videos which were only being watched maybe 100, 200 times. Now I'm regularly doing videos which are being watched 4,000, 5,000 times. So this is great positive reinforcement for me. So I love teaching people, spreading the knowledge, helping people master different things I can't see any information in the world about at the moment. However, if you're not growing, if there's no potential for me to recoup some of my losses in this business, then you really do have to start wondering if your time is better spent doing something else. Now, the other thing which amazed me about the last video is the outpouring of support. So when I did that last video, I sold about £1,000 worth of books in roughly about 2 weeks. I even had a few people just give me random donations. And basically, through all that support, all the book sponsorships, all the payments, all that kind of stuff, I take all that money and pump it back into the equipment, the lighting. I've now got, Canva to help me with the animations. So all the money that I get goes back into the video. I don't keep any of it myself, but it's the support from that and it's the increased engagement that basically tempted me to carry on with this channel, because otherwise, honestly, I would have given up at Christmas time and that would have been it. So from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate anyone who supports me. Now, I know loads of people on loads of channels say that, but it really is the support from the watchers that can help me carry on creating content. So if you did support me, you have bought a book, you have liked and subscribed because you're a legend, it really does mean a lot to me, because without doing those things, I would have given up a long time ago. So thank you. Now it is that time in the video. If you have enjoyed this video, or you want to learn more about Contentful, CMS development, or basically how to become an absolute coding legend, then you know what to do. Smash on the subscribe button, and while you're there, if you could click on the like button, it really does help me out growing this channel and gets my video in front of more people so they can share it to more people, and then we can all be really happy and high five. Now, before we wrap up, it is probably worth pointing out I've done a video all about Contentful's APIs, SDKs, which goes into a complete deep dive. So if you're interested to learn more about Contentful, there'll be a link on the screen right now, which I recommend you click out. So if you are interested in learning more about Contentful, there is a link on the screen right now, which I recommend you check out. Otherwise, I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. And until next Sunday, happy coding.